had some of the members of the film phone in, and they wanted to talk to you guys and give you an update. So I'll let them speak for themselves here.
Hello, Kim. This is David Hood of the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. Stephen Badger asked if I would call and give you a story or two. I think one that was not in the film that was, I guess you'd say, humorous. When Steve Cropper and Tom Dowd came to Muscle Shoals Sound and record with Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart came in the studio and was looking around, and me and the rest of the guys were sitting around tuning our instruments and working on our equipment, and Rod turns to Tom and says, "Well, where's the band?" And he said, "That's the band." And Rod says, "Well, no, that can't be the band. They're all white." And we didn't really know that till later on. I read an interview with Tom Dowd, and he related the story. That thought that was funny. That I guess they didn't think a bunch of white guys could play music like that. But anyway, that was one story. There's also what's been happening since the release of the film. I have been quite busy. The documentary has brought a lot of attention back to Muscle Shoals, and there's been renewed interest in the studios and the musicians and the people here. And so I have been busy working on different recording sessions, both here and in Nashville and around. And so I've enjoyed that. It keeps me busy and it keeps me happy working. And how I got involved with the film, Stephen and Freddy came to Jimmy Johnson's office in Sheffield and met with Jimmy and I and talked to us about it. And at first, I thought, oh no, more people trying to make a documentary about Muscle Shoals, because we've been through it a few times. And the people were never successful. They never raised the money they needed, or one problem or another entered the picture to keep them from completing the project. So I'm happy to say that Freddie and Stephen were able to complete it, and we're very happy with the results. I hope that's good. Hope you're doing good. Hope your benefit goes well. Thanks. Bye.
Yes, that was David Hood of the Swampers, and one brief story I'm going to tell you about. We met David and a lot of the crew from this film at the premiere. Josie and I did at Sundance, and Judy, David's wife, who got David to call in. I turn around at one point, and Josie and Judy are like hugging like BFFs, and Judy's like, "You gotta come stay with us in Muscle Shoals," and she comes, introduces us to David, and she's like, "Hey, you gotta meet Josie, you gotta meet Kim," and David turns and looks at her, and she goes, "Judy, you gotta stop inviting people to our home. Come stay at our home." But either way, it was just, they were the most generous, kind of spirited people, and we absolutely loved it. I'm going to play one other message from Stephen before I call up Anthony. I'm trying to figure which one this is. Stephen is the producer of the film.
Kim and Josie, hey, this is Stephen Badger, as you know, one of the producers on the Muscle Shoals film. And yeah, I hope your audience, like us, has found it to be the incredible tale that it is. It's one that myself and Greg Camalier, my buddy that I've known since I was 8, who's the director of the film and also a fellow producer on it, we're honored to tell. And I would ask all of you in the audience who have seen it, that if it did move you, to indeed share the story with your friends, tell them about the film. The town would love to welcome you and anybody else who wants to come visit to it. They are just a gracious group of people, and the history is living history. It's very much alive today, so it's well worth the road trip down to Muscle Shoals to check it out, to see the studios, meet people, and take in the food, the river, and all the rest. So thank you so much for spending a couple hours of your life with Muscle Shoals, and may it be with you and be carried into the future for all of us and for all people's benefit. Thank you indeed. All the best. Bye-bye.
So, read a brief bio on Anthony before bringing him up here. Anthony Arendt's passion for the cinematic arts started early. At age 15, he bought a used camera in Santa Monica, and for the next 5 years, you saw that camera strapped around his shoulder. Through the years, Anthony's been fortunate to learn from some of Hollywood's greatest cinematographers and directors. From one very lucky phone call to a chance meeting with James Cameron, Anthony was selected to be the virtual live-action camera operator on the mega-hit Avatar. For over 3.5 years, Anthony worked side by side with Cameron from the very beginning to the very end of production. And he says, it was overwhelming at times. Everyone around me had at least one Academy Award. And the technology was so new, we were making it up as we went along most of the time. But the talk of the 2013 Sundance Film Festival was this feature-length documentary, Muscle Shoals. It played to a full, packed 1,200-seat theater and received a rare standing ovation. Anthony worked on this film for over 3.5 years, and we are honored and thrilled to have Anthony with us here tonight, so please join me in giving him a big welcome. Welcome to Healdsburg.
This is such a cool town.
I have to explain, Anthony literally came off another film. You run this for the past few weeks, and came straight here from Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was such an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me in. This is such an amazing, God, what an amazing town. Did you enjoy the film? Well, I have to tell you, oh my gosh, sometimes you're lucky enough to get involved in something that becomes a little bit more than what you thought it was going to be from the beginning. And this was one of those films. It's like, when I first started on this project, when I got the first call, I didn't even know what Muscle Shoals was. I didn't know how to spell it. I didn't know if it was M-U-S-S-E-L or M-U-S-S-L-E. Believe it or not, it's M-U-S-C-L-E. But yeah, it was one of those projects where, you know, when it's all said and done, it was such a blessing for me because I knew nothing about the South. I'm a Southern California boy. And the opportunity to jump into the lives of some other people in the South and these incredible musicians was something that I had never anticipated that was going to happen in my life. And I've become, almost everybody you see up there become very close personal friends of mine now. And it's just been an amazing, amazing ride for me.
Well, thanks, Anthony. I'm going to start with, outside of, incredible music. It's a remarkable tapestry just to have as a backdrop. And separate to that, what you brought to it was poetry and the cinematography, which helped elevate the music, yes. But I don't know where to begin, to be honest. We have so many questions.
Let me start with,
sure.
I want to start with the producer, Stephen Badger, who you heard on the phone, and Greg Camalier, the director. What they were saying was they've been friends since they were 8 years old. Now this is a really interesting story. They were I think it was Stephen who got a job in New Mexico. So they were taking a road trip from New York, where they had been college friends, back to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they decided that they were going to take an old Mustang and drive it across, for one last hoop. And they got to the Natchez Trace Trail, and they went, let's see, Elvis or Muscle Shoals. They kind of got into a place where they didn't know which way they were going to go, and they go, well,
crossroads. Yeah,
and they didn't know anything about Muscle Shoals, nothing. And they go, well, let's go there. So they went to Muscle Shoals, and they spent 3 days there. And just that 3-day experience they had in Muscle Shoals, what they had learned there, and they just went, oh my gosh, we got to tell the story.
Sure.
And they were serious enough where they pulled it together. Ladies and gentlemen, these are two people that had never done a film before. Never.
Wow.
In their life had done a film before.
Wow.
To me, this is one of the most amazing stories. I always told them through the whole project, we got to tell your story. Forget about Muscle Shoals. This story is amazing how you guys came across. And these guys are very cool and very spiritual and wonderful people. But just the fact that two guys from not even close to the South told this story about the South. I think that was just so incredible.
So how did that transcend into what was the next step? Was it?
Hey, Anthony.
For me, I got on the project from a phone call from one of my camera assistants. Said, "Hey, Tony, one of my friends is going to be directing this documentary, Muscle Shoals. Can I throw your name in the hat as a director of photography?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And I got the call from Greg, and after 35 phone calls in about 4 days, he decided I was the guy, I guess. And then I never met him until I actually arrived in Nashville, and we all kind of assembled in the airport. And hi, I'm the tall guy. I've got a yellow shirt on.
So,
yeah.
I have to ask. I mean, it just I know you worked on this for over 3.5 years. I mean, how did that conversation go? Are you free for the next 3.5 years to work on this documentary?
Well, something like this, it's not 3.5 solid years. It's
Sure.
like, okay, Aretha's going to be in New York at this time.
Yeah.
So it's really sporadic. But I'll have to tell you, it's like after the first week, I realized, oh my gosh, this is really something incredible. I just had the feeling, it's like everyone's, and it's rare that you get that feeling this is going to be something special.
Sure.
And so I told my agent, I said, listen, when these guys call, it's like, we gotta do this. I mean, I know documentaries, the money is not great, but you just know it's a passion project, and you know that there's going to be something great at the end of the rainbow. And it's like, it was such an incredible ride. As a filmmaker, you're looking more for an adventure. You're looking more for something that's going to spin the wheels, make you creatively, go to another place. And this was something that I had never seen before, something that for me, I just wasn't even close to. And I was like so excited to do this that I wanted to be a part of it. So I really wanted to just stay on this the whole way.
So how did you begin? I mean, where did you even begin to start, and how did you know when you were done?
That is such a good question. Are we done? No, it's a really good question, because it's such a good question because documentaries are such a discovery.
Right.
You kind of start out and you have this great idea, but then somebody says something so profound, you go, oh my gosh, we're on such the wrong track. We gotta go here now, right?
Yeah.
So, that's such a really great question. So we just kept going back until, we kept going back and interviewing the right people. But I will say the one thing that really impressed me about Steven and Freddy was, man, these guys did their homework.
Yeah.
They really did their homework. I mean, an example was when we were with Aretha in New York, she would say, I recorded this and I recorded that, Muscle Shoals, and Steven would be all, no. You didn't record that there, you recorded that here. And he knew every single thing that happened, and every single artist that we had touched upon went, wow, you guys really did your homework. And to credit to those guys, they really knew it. They're such, neither of them have musical instruments, but they're like just the biggest musical fans, in the planet besides us, right?
Sure. Well, just to go back to Steven and Freddy drove into Muscle Shoals, not knowing anything about it. How did that go back to doing the research? And
well, it all starts with Rick Hall, right? I mean, Rick Hall's the guy.
Yeah.
He is the king of Muscle Shoals. So if you don't get it through Rick, you don't get it through anybody.
Yeah.
So somehow, here's these two yahoos that come in, and I wasn't there during that meeting, but whatever they said to Rick, that was the guy. And from there, it kind of all fell into place. But the funny thing about Rick is, he really wanted to tell a story, but it's difficult when you're trying to tell somebody else's story, because you don't want to tell it like, okay, this is the way Rick wants to tell the story, because that's not how the story went. It went, you have a whole bunch of different perspectives. So when Rick, you come in and it's like, well, Rick, I want to see some footage. Well, Rick, no, we're not going to show you the footage yet. We're gonna show you that later because, blah blah blah. And he really, really, really wanted to, to get hands on. And I still to this day don't know how they got away with not showing Rick the footage until Sundance.
Yeah.
The first time they all saw the film, nobody in Muscle Shoals saw anything until Sundance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
That was the most emotional night of my life. Watching them watch that film was unbelievable. Was unbelievable.
So, I mean, that kind of begs the question, how much of this was scripted? I mean, are they going, okay, today we need to ask Rick this, this, and this, and this, or are you...
I'm telling you, man, they did their homework. Yeah. They really understood the history, they really understood the story. I mean, these guys really delved into it. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, the way Greg and Freddy bounced off each other, and the way that they knew so much about the history of this story. It was incredible. And the more that the story was opened up to them, the more they would do more research in this direction or that direction or that. Yeah, I mean, it just kept going on and on and on. That's why it probably took 3.5 years. I mean, it took a long time. It's really hard to tell that story because there's so many different perspectives going on that you don't want to, like, you're going to piss somebody off. It's just the way it is. It's like somebody didn't get included, somebody got excluded. So, you know, you do the best you can.
Wow. I mean, unbelievable. It's Keith Richards. I mean, you mentioned okay, everything went right that day.
Well, I'll say this about Keith Richards. I was, you know how you walk in a room and you've heard about somebody and you go, oh, okay, this is the way it's going to go. Man, it didn't go that way at all with Keith Richards. I thought for sure that, you know, he wasn't going to remember anything. Man, that guy remembered everything. He was so unbelievable. I got to tell you, it's like, that was such a magical interview for us because it was a very difficult place where we interviewed him. That room that you saw him in was a last second, like, okay, throw him in here kind of thing. And his manager said to us, okay, you have him for half an hour. And he only does these twice a year, blah, blah, blah. So when he came in and he started telling the story, not only did he remember everything, I mean everything. It was what you're seeing on the film is, they told us we would have him for a half an hour. He stayed for 2.5 hours, and then he invited us to dinner. And it's like the things that he was saying, like, remember he said, you know, I had to go work it out in the bathroom. Yeah. He literally went into the bathroom for 45 minutes, and he sat down there and he beat against the wall, and he started working out that song. And he did that down in the bathroom, and he came up, so he really did work out that song in the bathroom. But he remembered everything. I mean, to the littlest, minutest detail, and Muscle Shoals was so important to him that, you know, none of these musicians got paid anything. None of them. They all came down of their own free will. And I'll tell you who was really important in this film and who never recorded in Muscle Shoals with Bono. Yeah. Bono was really important on this film. He actually was so taken by, what we did was the first week we came down to Muscle Shoals is we spent 4 days down there, and Richard Lowe, the editor of this movie, who I am so impressed by, because what he did was he created this 3-minute teaser that we sent out to a lot of different people. And Bono got a hold of this teaser, and he called Stephen Badger and said, would you like to come to the south of France? I want to talk to you about Muscle Shoals. I'm going to have a plane come and pick you up. Stephen Badger flew to Bono's house, spent the weekend with Bono talking about Muscle Shoals, then went to the concert in London, and then flew home. I was so mad when I heard that story.
Didn't you get to shoot that?
No. Oh, this was... But I mean, but Bono was so taken out with his connections. I mean, it just kind of spread like wildfire, and then other musicians wanted to get involved. And we had an interview lined up with Paul McCartney, and he wanted to do it too, but he got divorced or something. I can't remember what happened in his life, but something happened. And but everybody that you saw there did it of their own free time, and they all came in on their own space because they wanted to tell this incredibly important story. Michael Ralph, are you here? There he is. Okay. Michael Ralph is an incredible photographer, cinematographer, and I invited Michael Ralph down to Muscle Shoals to be a part of this project. And many, many, many of the beautiful scenes you see here were done by my friend, Michael Ralph. When I was in Alabama, everybody, the first question that was always asked me is, where did you do the sunflower shot? Yeah. I don't know. I didn't do it. Michael, where'd you do the sunflower shot?
Somewhere down the road.
You know what Michael's good at? Michael's good at is like, I go, Michael, just get me some great stuff. You know, he's an incredibly gifted photographer and landscape photographer, and he's so good at like looking at a map and going, okay, the sun is over there, there's this over here, and I'm gonna drive over here in the middle of the dark, and when the sun comes up, I'm gonna find something cool. And thank you, Michael. Wow, really, you did it so many times.
So I'd love to open up to the audience. I know you guys probably have loads of questions. I do have one more I want to ask you before we do that. I'm sure there's so much happened that you've shot or behind the scenes that's not in the film. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Not that I can tell you, no.
Okay, listen, we'd love to invite you to ask any questions you may have, if you want to just...
Oh, you know what? There is one thing that was kind of cool that you guys will get a kick out of. Sorry about that.
Sure.
Tom Hendricks, the Native American Indian that we interviewed, what a wonderful man. And if you guys ever get in that area, you really have to go see this man. We interviewed him twice, and the first time went well, everything was great. The second time we interviewed him, everything went well, I thought. Until the very end, where he went up to Stephen and he said, you know what, I don't want you to air this interview. So sorry, you guys can't do it. And Stephen said, well, I totally understand you and I feel you, but you've already signed this release here, kind of thing. And he said, Stephen, I will bring down the wrath of whatever on you if you even think about doing this. And that night, we went back and we had all of our footage from our camera. And we went back and we started going through it on the computer. And the second it got to Tom Hendricks, it was digitally corrupt. All the way through until the end of the Tom Hendricks interview, and then everything was fine. Now, if anybody knows anything about photography, this was on the same card.
No.
This was on the same card. This wasn't separate cards. This was on the same card. So thank you, Tom, wherever you are, for blessing us and letting us use the footage.
Wow. Wow. So, do any of you have any questions you would like to ask? Sure.
Wonderful footage. The photography was just gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
But I also have a question about the early photography. Who was taking that?
Wasn't that fantastic?
Yeah. But then
You know what? Yeah, you know that's a great
Did you guys
question.
all hear the question? Sorry.
And what kind of camera do you think they were using to take?
Oh my gosh, don't make me go there. I'll take a whole bunch of guesses. Probably an Eclair, a 16mm Eclair is my guess, but I don't know. But that was a Swedish crew that went down to do some sort of documentary it wasn't a feature-length documentary, but they went down there and just filmed for weeks down there. And I think they're trying to actually piece it together to actually put a whole piece together from that, because I think that footage was just unbelievable. And the editor, I mean, how he put the archival footage together with the other footage was unbelievable.
What was the archival footage, the footage that you were talking about, those close-ups done in post, or was that the way it was raw? They shot it.
Which close-ups are you talking about?
All the film footage, the 16 mil.
All that stuff was all.
So
like you saw.
those tight shots
Oh,
were
yeah.
tight.
Yeah, that
Man,
was
what were they
everything.
thinking? That back
was a
then,
break, wasn't it?
back then, that
Oh,
wasn't
my
even
God.
stylish.
Oh, I
I mean,
know.
they were so far ahead of their time.
Oh yeah, well they weren't doing any drugs at all.
None.
I was wondering whether it seemed almost out of character that there was a reconciliation between the two groups in Muscle Shoals. Have they really reconciled?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. That's over and done with. Yeah, it's funny. That scene that you saw where they were reconciling, together. They hadn't seen each other for a long, long time. At that scene, they hadn't seen each other. They had already, talked before that. And, it was water under the bridge. But you could tell that they hadn't seen each other in a long time, and you could feel the respect for they had each other. Yeah, no, sir, that was absolutely real, 100%. And when you go down to Muscle Shoals, the cool thing for me is like this movie really has made a difference for that area. It really has brought a lot of attention to that part of Alabama. and it's become part of the music tourist circle that Nashville has. It has a trail that goes through all the blah blah blah, and it's like, but it just brought so much attention to that area that 2 weeks ago they had the Alabama Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee awards, which always happens on the other side of the state, but because of the movie, for the first time they had it in Muscle Shoals. And the governor came down and inducted all of the inductees into the Music Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really an incredible experience.
You were also given an award.
Yes, yeah. The governor gave us an award as well for contributing to the Alabama music. So it was just an unbelievable experience for all of us.
Yeah. Sure.
Is it still going on today? I mean, there's still...
You know what the amazing thing is? You know when they say it's in the water? I'm telling you, it's in the water.
Still going.
And I've never, ever in my life been to a place where we stayed at the, what is it, Michael? What is it, the Marriott? We stayed at the Marriott there. You go to the little hotel bar right there, and you can't get out of the little hotel bar because the musicians are so good. It's incredible. We actually filmed a bar. We tried to do, there was a scene with a barber in there. And we went into, the first time he went in to try to shoot inside the barber shop, and he said, I can't, I'm going to go play at a wedding right now. And everybody has something musical. I'm no joke. It is really the most musically inclined place I've ever been in my life. Everybody plays or sings or does something. Folks, I don't know how much you know of the South. I didn't know anything about it, but I got to tell you something. It is such an incredible trip to go down. It's like going to Europe. It's a whole different experience. It really, really is. I mean, it's a whole different. You know, we live in the same continent, but these people really are different from us, and it's such an incredible way to go experience the South. Like, you should do it and go see it.
And just to respond to that, there are a lot of recent records have come out of there. I mean, the Civil War is recorded there, Black Keys, Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
I mean, there's,
Yeah.
and they're still recording.
That's right, and I guess it was Dr. Dre with Beats.
That's right.
He saw the movie, and he has donated $1 million to the Muscle Shoals studios to update the Jackson Highway studio and Fame. And so to become current studios, and so they're like David Hood said, they are really busier than ever right now. And man, I just hope it keeps going on because it's a really, really great place.
Sure. Well, we have time for 2 more questions. If we'll go here, and I know there was one over here at one point, but let's go back here. And
first of all, your film was absolutely spectacular.
Thank you so much.
I've worked in the business for 30 years now, in the sound recorders. And I've filmed in the South a lot myself, and a lot of the music is about the sounds in the area. It's about the sounds in the South. And I really enjoyed the way you incorporated, for example, when you edited the sound of the train in with some of the music. And, you know, just, you had a lot of those little transitions from natural sound to music, back to natural sound.
Yeah, I have to give credit to Richard Lowe and Greg Camalier, the director. They spent hours and hours and hours and hours going through that, and that was all them, man. I agree with you, man. They did such a great job.
It tells as much the story as the pictures, I hate to say it.
Well, you know, what's funny for me as a cinematographer, you know, I spend all this time behind a camera, and I have no idea what's going to end up on the screen or what's going to end up on the floor. And the first cut that I saw, I was like, I'm taking my name off this one. Oh my, there's no way. Oh my, I was so disappointed. And then, you know, I wrote my notes. I'm sure everybody else wrote their notes. And then the next cut I saw, I went, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I was really proud. Yeah.
But yeah, just the railway tracks, just with the tracks moving up and down along.
That's the fun part for us, you know. It's like, you know, we go, hey, you know, we need some more railroad shots. Let's go to Alabama and go shoot some flowers and railroads and listen to some music. Okay, I'm in. All right. But that's the fun part, you know. You really just get in a van with 3 people, you know, and you just go, hey, whoa, wait a minute. Stop here. Like, you know, it's funny, you probably don't remember this shot, but there's a there's a shot of a lady who's kind of just walking across her yard.
That's sweet.
She's kind of going slowly across, and
With a cane.
yes, exactly. And we were driving by really fast, and I looked over. Oh God! Oh, this.
Yeah.
We gotta stop! And then it was too late. And I went, oh, can somebody ask her to do that again? And you know how hard that is? Somebody do that again. And so she did it again, and we got it.
Hey, this is not a documentary.
Yeah, I know.
Does she have a credit in there?
Well, you know what's funny is I think, there's so many little stories. I think her daughter did not want her to be a part of this film. And so somebody had to actually go to her house and show her the film. And then she went, I love this film. But it was a big deal. I mean, I was so adamant, please don't take that shot out. I just love the shot. I don't know why I love it.
Going that way.
But it's one of those things, it was one of those trips where it's like, okay, stop the car. And you have to imagine after 3.5 years, there's, 2 hours? I don't remember how long the film, hour and a half.
Yeah.
There was probably 300 hours of film.
Yeah.
There's 300 hours there. And as a cinematographer, you always go, why didn't you put that in? Where's that shot?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so great. And I didn't make the story. It's like, all right. Well.
Were you using the red camera or the Arri?
Well, it's funny. We started with the red one, but after the first week, the producer went, can't afford that. So we shot with, where's your camera?
Right here.
This is what we shot most of the film with right here.
DSLR.
Yeah.
90% of the film was shot with this camera right here.
Is that a D5?
Cool.
5D Mark II.
But it started out, but you have to understand that this film took 3.5 years, so it started out with the Mark II, then went to the Mark III at the very end, because when the technology came out. But you know what, the camera's so unimportant really and stuff like this. I mean, it's like we had it's really, it's just it's a nice tool. As a cinematographer, I'd like to have this, but I never get that. So here's what I have, so let's make the best of what we have.
So all the audio was not recorded on this?
No. You would have left the theater a long time ago, sir. Yeah, no, that was we had sound artists on all and everything.
I noticed, when you had the people in the studio, they didn't have any lavs on, and it sounded, I didn't hear any ambience.
Yeah, but right above the frame was this microphone right here.
No slap in that at all. It sounded very good. It sounded really close.
Yeah, we tried to do the best we could.
Yeah.
You have to, it's like these guys know so much more about music than we do.
Sound good.
One funny thing about David Hood, David Hood, who I've become great friends with. The last time we visited his house, which was like 4 times we came to his house. As we were leaving, he told his wife Judy, "Check the silverware drawer." I think they've taken something.
So I think we have one more over here.
One more question. Thank you. On a lot of the tracks, you could hear some pretty robust background singers. And I was wondering, you saw a choir there, if there are locals who also...
That is such a great question, and you know what, kudos to that choir. That was a really fun part for me. When we wanted a choir for that song. So, this is a funny story actually, thank you for reminding me. In one Sunday, we had to go find a choir, which meant that we had to go to 3 or 4 churches in one Sunday. You know how hard it is to leave a church? You do not know how hard it is to leave a church, and you've left a church in the South. But the first church we went to was the one. I mean, oh, man, they were just on fire, and they were so great. But we had to go check out some other ones. And I remember one church we went to, the minister, if there's anybody here who's feeling the Lord, say amen. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. If there's anybody here who's not from around here, say amen. Amen. If there's anybody here who's doing a documentary, who's looking for people, say amen. Amen. Like, oh man.
Is anybody here in the choir who would like to be in a documentary?
Yeah, they were zeroing in for sure, and the deacon was definitely not letting us leave that church for sure until that, and I respect that. That was fine. But yeah, that choir was a local choir. And we were so blessed. I mean, there's a lot of great choirs that we've heard, and there's, you know, these great choirs in, you know, in California and Los Angeles, and you go to these great clubs, and they're wonderful, but there's nothing like going to a, you know, an all-black church and hearing some real soul. I mean, it is really, truly one of the most amazing things that's ever happened in my life.
Was that actually recorded? I mean, is that something?
That choir that you heard in back of Alicia Keys was recorded right there in the studio.
And is it available on record?
Yeah, that's the whole track is available on iTunes.
Is there, sorry, to follow up on that, is there a soundtrack to this?
On iTunes. Yep.
iTunes?
Yep.
Okay. Well, listen, Tony, thank you so much for...
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you all so much for coming out. Please look out for our email for next month. Seriously, hang on 1 minute. We are going to draw for a bottle of wine. It's for those who are here.
Hopefully you're here.
Tony, you know what? You need to pick this one. Awesome. And there's a name on...
If they're not here, they don't get it.
If they're not here, they don't get it. Truett, Hurst, Red Rooster, Little Red Rooster's in. And the name is?
Drum roll.
Anthony Arendt.
Woo!
Reserved is Andrew David. No, what's the last name? Oh, here we go. Oh. Yeah, we need some light. David Anderson.
Too strong, I'm headed to your change.